The Sikorsky VS-300 is often regarded as one of the most significant milestones in the history of aviation, marking the transition from experimental rotorcraft to practical helicopters. Although it was never intended for combat use, the VS-300 laid the foundational groundwork for all subsequent helicopter designs. Conceived and brought to life by the legendary aviation pioneer Igor Sikorsky, the VS-300 was the first successful helicopter in the United States to use a single main rotor and a tail rotor configuration, a design that became the standard for helicopters worldwide. Historical context and development. The story of the Sikorsky VS-300 begins with Igor Sikorsky, a Russian-born engineer and aviation visionary who immigrated to the United States in 1919. Sikorsky had been fascinated by the concept of vertical flight for years, inspired by the mythical tales of flying machines and by the scientific potential of rotorcraft. After establishing his own company, Sikorsky Aircraft Corporation, Sikorsky initially focused on fixed-wing aircraft, producing several successful airplanes, including the famous S-42 Clipper flying boat. However, Sikorsky's passion for vertical flight never waned, and by the late 1930s, he began to shift his focus toward helicopter design. The concept of a helicopter was not new. Inventors and engineers had been attempting to build vertical takeoff and landing, VTOL, aircraft for decades, with varying degrees of success. Many early helicopter designs were hampered by complex mechanical issues, insufficient power, and poor stability. Sikorsky's genius lay in his ability to simplify the helicopter's design, focusing on reliability and practicality rather than on pushing the limits of what was theoretically possible. In 1938, Sikorsky received a small grant from the United Aircraft Corporation to develop a prototype helicopter. Sikorsky and his team worked diligently in Stratford, Connecticut, to create what would become the VS-300. The first flight of the VS-300 took place on September 14, 1939, with Sikorsky himself at the controls. This initial flight was brief, lasting only a few seconds as the aircraft hovered a few feet off the ground. However, it was a historic moment, demonstrating that a single main rotor helicopter could achieve controlled flight. Technical design and features. The Sikorsky VS-300 was a relatively simple aircraft by modern standards, but it was revolutionary for its time. The helicopter featured a single three-bladed main rotor mounted on a steel tube frame fuselage. A small, vertically mounted tail rotor provided anti-torque control, countering the rotational force of the main rotor to stabilize the aircraft. This configuration, one main rotor for lift and thrust, with a tail rotor for directional control, became the defining feature of most helicopters that followed. One of the most innovative aspects of the VS-300 was its control system. Sikorsky's design allowed the pilot to control the helicopter's pitch, roll, and yaw through a combination of cyclic, collective, and pedal inputs. The cyclic control adjusted the tilt of the main rotor, allowing the helicopter to move forward, backward, and sideways. The collective control altered the pitch of all the rotor blades simultaneously, enabling the pilot to ascend or descend. The tail rotor's pitch was controlled by foot pedals, which allowed the pilot to manage the helicopter's yaw or rotational direction. This comprehensive control system provided a level of maneuverability that was unprecedented in earlier rotorcraft. Powering the VS-300 was a 75 horsepower, 56 kilowatts, Lycoming 0145 piston engine, which was located behind the pilot. The engine drove the main rotor via a belt drive system, a relatively simple and lightweight solution that was well suited to the experimental nature of the aircraft. The open-frame design of the VS-300, with its exposed mechanical components and pilot seat, was indicative of its prototype status. Nevertheless, the VS-300's design was robust and functional, allowing Sikorsky and his team to make numerous modifications and improvements during its development. Flight testing and developmental milestones. Following its first flight, the VS-300 underwent an extensive series of flight tests and modifications. These tests were crucial in refining the helicopter's design and proving its capabilities. One of the earliest challenges was improving the aircraft's stability and control. The initial flights revealed that the helicopter was prone to uncontrollable oscillations, a common problem in early rotorcraft. Sikorsky addressed this issue by experimenting with different rotor blade designs, rotor speeds, and control systems. By the summer of 1940, Sikorsky had made significant progress with the VS-300. The aircraft could hover stably, fly forward, backward, and sideways, and make controlled turns. On May 6, 1941, Sikorsky demonstrated the VS-300's capabilities to the public and military officials in a series of test flights at Bridgeport, Connecticut. During these demonstrations, the VS-300 set several records, including a flight that lasted over an hour and a maximum altitude of 3,000 feet. The VS-300 also became the first helicopter to achieve autorotation, a critical safety feature that allows a helicopter to land safely in the event of an engine failure. During autorotation, the main rotor continues to spin due to the upward flow of air, generating enough lift for the helicopter to descend in a controlled manner. This capability was a major milestone in making helicopters viable for practical use. One of the most notable achievements of the VS-300 was its endurance flight on May 6, 1941. Sikorsky piloted the helicopter for 1 hour, 32 minutes, and 26.1 seconds, setting a world endurance record for rotorcraft. This flight demonstrated not only the reliability of the helicopter, but also its potential for practical applications. The VS-300 also made history by becoming the first helicopter to successfully tow a glider, further showcasing its versatility. Contributions to helicopter development and the R-4. The success of the VS-300 paved the way for the development of the Sikorsky R-4, the world's first production helicopter. The R-4, also known as the HNS-1 in the U.S. Navy and the Hoverfly in the Royal Air Force, was essentially an improved and refined version of the VS-300. It featured a fully enclosed fuselage, more powerful engines, and improved flight controls. The R-4 retained the single main rotor and tail rotor configuration, a testament to the effectiveness of Sikorsky's original design. The R-4 entered production in 1942 and was used extensively by the U.S. military during World War II. It was employed in a variety of roles, including search and rescue, medical evacuation, and reconnaissance. The R-4's ability to take off and land in confined spaces made it invaluable in situations where conventional aircraft could not operate. The helicopter service during the war demonstrated the practicality and utility of rotary wing aircraft, leading to further development and adoption of helicopters in both military and civilian sectors. The design principles and technological innovations pioneered by the VS-300 had a profound impact on the future of helicopter development. The single main rotor and tail rotor configuration became the standard design for most helicopters, and the control systems developed for the VS-300 laid the groundwork for modern helicopter flight controls. Additionally, the data collected from the VS-300's extensive testing provided invaluable insights into rotorcraft aerodynamics, stability, and performance, influencing the design of future helicopters for decades to come. Legacy and preservation. The legacy of the Sikorsky VS-300 is preserved not only in the helicopters that followed, but also in the aircraft itself. The original VS-300 was retired after its final flight on October 7, 1943, and was donated to the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan, where it remains on display. The helicopter is a testament to Igor Sikorsky's vision, ingenuity, and determination, serving as a tangible reminder of the early days of helicopter development. In recognition of its historical significance, the VS-300 has been honored in various ways over the years. In 1984, the American Helicopter Society, AHS, International awarded the Sikorsky Aircraft Corporation the prestigious Igor I. Sikorsky International Trophy for the development of the VS-300. This award underscored the enduring impact of the VS-300 on the field of vertical flight. The influence of the VS-300 extends beyond its technical achievements. The helicopter's development marked the beginning of the modern helicopter industry, which has since grown into a global enterprise with applications in numerous fields, including military, emergency medical services, law enforcement, firefighting, transportation, and aerial work. The success of the VS-300 demonstrated that helicopters could be practical, reliable, and versatile aircraft, capable of performing tasks that fixed-wing airplanes could not. The Sikorsky VS-300 represents a pivotal chapter in the history of aviation, embodying the transition from experimental rotorcraft to practical, operational helicopters. Designed and built by Igor Sikorsky and his dedicated team, the VS-300 was the first successful helicopter in the United States to use a single main rotor and tail rotor configuration, a design that has since become the industry standard. Although it was never intended for combat or mass production, the VS-300 played a critical role in the development of the Sikorsky R-4, the world's first production helicopter, and in establishing the viability of helicopters for a wide range of applications. The technical innovations, flight testing, and operational milestones achieved by the VS-300 provided invaluable data and insights that influenced the design of future helicopters, shaping the trajectory of rotary wing aviation for generations. The VS-300's enduring legacy is reflected in the continued evolution of helicopter technology and the widespread use of helicopters in both military and civilian roles. As a symbol of human ingenuity and perseverance, the Sikorsky VS-300 stands as a testament to the vision of Igor Sikorsky and the pioneering spirit that has driven aviation innovation throughout.